Welcome to the latest how-to video, and in this video I will show you how to configure dropship offline together with offline domain join. So first of all, you need to download the source files from GitHub that are in the article, in the blog article I posted down in the comments. If you want to change the location where the files are getting copied, then you need to change the destination path here. So if you don't want to use ctemp, then change it to another location you want. In the ODJ source file, there's a small application named keylog, which is blocking the keyboard. If you want to exit the keyboard lock, then you just need to type in exit on the keyboard, and then you can reuse the keyboard. If you want to change the command, then you need to change it in the registry file I showed you. If you want to change the source path or the log path, then you need to go to the domain join test PS1. And if you want to configure the splash screen configuration, then you need to open the create full screen background.ps1, and there you have all the text that is shown to the end user during the splash screen. So after you configured everything you need, then you need to create a zip file. So just package the files and upload it to your console. So just go to the applications, upload your files. That's why the dummy.exe file is in the zip file, because we're not using any installation. We are just running the PS1 script to copy the source files to the device. So after the files are uploaded, or the zip file is uploaded, just rename it. I'm using here offline domain join checker. Feel free to change it whatever you want to. And then in the files we need an uninstall command. Basically it's just a command line command, so we're using cmd and then rmdir to delete the files. As install command, we're using PowerShell bypass and then the file for installation, and the installation file again just extracting or copying the files from the source folder to your installation path. And then we're detecting on the source path and the offline domain join test.ps1, because this is the main script you need to really detect the status and run the splash screen and so on. So then we're checking if the script is really running. So we are trying to, or we're going to deploy it to a smart group. I'm using here on demand just to install it on a specific device, and then afterward I want to check the uninstallation. So now we're going to test the installation of the script. Basically it's no real installation, it's a copy command, so it should be fine. There's no real big issue behind copying files with PowerShell. So we're going to our device we want to use, then apps, and then we push down the application. So in my case it's the offline domain join checker, just clicking install and waiting till the device gets the command to install it. This needs some time because we're not logged in, but after a few seconds we see the installation started, and then there will be a new folder named ODJ source. So it's downloading, extracting the zip file, and now running the installation PowerShell. And then we see the ODJ source and everything is in there. So the installation was completed, the detection was completed, and now we're seeing in the console that the offline domain join checker is installed, which is quite easy and pretty straightforward. And of course, for doing the whole packaging, we of course want to test the uninstallation just to make sure that the source files are getting deleted after we send down the uninstallation command to the device. And we will see soon that the ODJ source folder gets removed, and that means that all files are gone. And yeah, uninstallation was completed and completely reflected also to the console. Now we're going to create the PPKG. So the PPKG is the main file we need. So in the PPKG there are all applications we want to pre-stage during the factory provisioning phase. So every application that is already installed in the factory does not need to be installed after the enrollment. So in the configuration, we're choosing the workgroup type as Active Directory type. This is why we can't use the domain join functionality, because the normal domain join function would need an direct domain controller connection. So then we configure everything that we need to. So type in registered organization, type in product key if you want, and change, or we need an administrative password. And make sure that you write down your password, because we need this password afterwards on our unattended XML for the auto login. So then we can add the command line here to the Synchronous command, which is basically just a PowerShell command opening the or running or starting the domain join test. So make sure if you changed the source or installation path, then you would need to change this command also. So then we need to add our enrollment details, which means our device server as enrollment server, our enrollment OG, and our staging account and our staging password. So in my case, it's DS137 for our UAT environment. My enrollment OG is ModernManagement.works ODJ. I created an own OG for the offline domain join stuff, and then the staging password for the user. Then select all the applications that you want to be included in the PPKG and be installed before the enrollment of the device. Make sure that you only select software that is completely installable via online installation, because the most factories don't have internet connection right now. And of course, make sure that you select the offline domain join checker application, and I would highly recommend to select your VPN provider. In my case, it's VMware Tunnel, and I'm also installing VMware One Assist, Workspace One Assist, just to make sure that I'm able to connect to the device even if something happened or breaks during the domain join. So then we need to change the unattended XML. So download the PPKG and download the unattended XML. And now we can configure and change the unattended XML. So we need to add the auto log on information to the unattended XML, and this is directly under computer name and above product key. Yeah, make sure that you're in the component name Microsoft Windows Shell setup to add the auto login thing, and also make sure that the command is listed as last command. So in this case, the unattended XML does not include the latest Synchronous command. And in my case, I'm using a VM afterwards to test all the stuff. So how we can test the whole process. So in my case, I'm using VM for it. Just start a VM directly after the installation was completed, so in the OB phase. And as soon as we're seeing the language selection, we can use Shift F3 to start in the audit mode. So to not waste any more time, we can already prepare our ISO creator. So we're choosing our source folder and our output file. We can't create the ISO right now because the PPKG is not downloaded right now, but just for preparation, as soon as the PPKG is downloaded, we can copy the PPKG to the ODJ test folder and then create the ISO file. So as soon we seeing the language selection, we can press Ctrl Shift F3 to start the device into the audit mode. So now the download of the PPKG is finished, and we can see the PPKG file here, place it in the ODJ test folder, and then we can create the ISO file for it. Make sure that you also add the Workspace One provisioning tool, because this is the tool we want to use for applying the PPKG and applying the unattended XML. So I'm making sure that I'm external connected, so I have no direct network connection to the domain. So just to show you, I'm pinging my domain controller, and it's not reachable. So then we open our ISO file and installing the VMware Workspace One provisioning tool. We starting it, and we choosing our PPKG and unattended XML that is placed on our ISO file, and in this case on our DVD drive. So normally in the factory will shut down the device after the PPKG got applied, and then it gets shipped to the end user. So basically this is what we are seeing here is what's done in the factory or in any setup facility. So the PPKG gets validated. We see several applications getting installed, so like Assist, 7-Zip, Chrome, Tunnel, Domain Join Checker, and I'm using here an online version of Office 365 because in my lab I have obviously internet connection. But if this would be a real world scenario, then we would need an offline domain, not an offline domain, but an offline installation of Office 365. So I'm speeding up here the process a little bit in the video, just to make sure that we don't sit here for 10 minutes waiting for the Office installation. So now the Office installation is done. We can see applications are all installed, and now sysprep is running for generalization of the device. And the device gets shut down. So now we're assuming that the device got shipped to the end user. Obviously, in my case, it's still the same VM. So make sure that you eject your USB stick or your ISO file from the VM. And yeah, what's happening right now is that the device gets started and it will automatically sign in to the local administrator account. This is because the unattended XML gets applied right now. And during this time, also the language selection gets skipped and so on. So we don't need, or the OB screens are getting skipped completely. Yeah. And now we see the normal Windows 10 splash screen. So the local admin gets logged in right now. And we see directly after that the splash screen starts and the keyboard is locked. So the user really don't see any difference. By the way, the right side, we saw the network selection. This is already disabled in the latest version of the script. And now the splash screen runs, so the device is blocked during the time. The script checking for the offline domain join configuration, if it's got applied. Also, if all applications are installed that were assigned to the device. So this needs some time. The best way would be to not assign any applications or just skipping the application check in the script. So in my case, it needs like 9 minutes to install things like Firefox on the device. And then it's getting rebooted automatically. We saw a small error screen because of the splash screen. But basically the end user has nothing to do, just sitting in front of the device waiting, and we see that the domain is already added, and now the user has the first interaction with the device, which means the user needs to type in his Active Directory username and Active Directory password. And this is the moment where we need VPN connection. So make sure that you have a device or VPN provider where the VPN connection can be established before the first user logs in. So in my case, it's VMware Tunnel. Prepared the Tunnel client before, and yeah, if you need to see how, then check out my other autopilot hybrid join video. There it's completely explained. And now we're seeing that the device gets shifted over to the logged in user. So the user is logged in, the domain join is done right now. So the device or the user was able to authenticate via VPN to the local domain, which is not accessible from outside. And now the device got assigned to the Active Directory user, and we see things like Firefox are installed, the device registration is completed, and also we're seeing all the installation that were done in the factory. This is the way how you can achieve work from anywhere, even if you pre-stage your applications in the factory.